Do you remember those simple root vegetable dishes your grandparents might have served, now all but vanished from our tables? These were the meals that stretched a little, nourished a lot, and carried the flavor of family kitchens through every season. From creamy purees to tangy pickles, they were humble, hearty, and full of resourceful charm. Today, we're digging up 30 forgotten root vegetable recipes no one makes anymore. And maybe it's time to give them a second chance. Candied parsnips. There's something quietly magical about candied parsnips, though I'll admit, it's the kind of magic you don't usually scroll past on TikTok. Back in the Great Depression, families relied on humble root vegetables to stretch meals and sweeten life in ways sugar rationing often forbade. Parsnips, with their pale, elongated shape, weren't the flashiest vegetable in the basket, but when you cook them slowly with butter and a hint of brown sugar or molasses, they transformed into something unexpectedly luxurious. The origin of this dish traces back to rural kitchens across the American Midwest and parts of Europe, where parsnips were a winter staple. Farmers' wives and grandmothers alike prized these roots for their hearty sweetness and shelf stability. They could be stored in cool cellars for months, waiting patiently to be roasted or boiled into a simple side. Candied parsnips emerged as a way to celebrate the holidays or a special Sunday dinner without expensive ingredients, turning frugality into an art form. The ingredients themselves were intentionally simple: parsnips, butter, a bit of sugar or molasses, a pinch of salt, and sometimes a sprinkle of cinnamon or nutmeg if the household could spare it. The preparation was straightforward but required patience. Parsnips were peeled and cut into uniform pieces, simmered gently until tender, then caramelized in butter and sugar until golden and glossy. It's the sort of slow, deliberate cooking that teaches you the value of waiting, of coaxing flavor out of what seems ordinary. Emotionally, candied parsnips carry a warmth beyond their sweetness. They recall childhood kitchens, the smell of butter and sugar mingling in winter air, and the pride of presenting a humble vegetable in a new celebratory form. They embody resilience, taking what was cheap and abundant and turning it into something that feels indulgent. In a modern context, candied parsnips feel both old-fashioned and timeless. They may not trend on social media, but they hold their own against today's fast food sides and pre-packaged vegetables. For those willing to slow down, they offer a taste of history, a reminder that comfort often comes from patience, imagination, and a little sweetness coaxed from the roots of the earth. Roasted celeriac with herbs. Roasted celeriac with herbs is one of those dishes that quietly sneaks into your memory, even if it never graced the pages of glossy modern cookbooks. Celeriac, also called celery root, may look more like a knobby underground turnip than anything appetizing, but in the kitchens of the past, it was prized for its earthy flavor and versatility. During the early 20th century, particularly in Amish and rural European households, celeriac was a winter staple, a root that could be stored through months of cold weather and turned into something unexpectedly elegant with just a bit of oil, salt, and herbs. The ingredients are delightfully simple: a sturdy celeriac, a drizzle of butter or olive oil, a scattering of rosemary, thyme, or parsley, and a pinch of salt and pepper. Some kitchens added garlic or shallots when available, while frugal households relied solely on the aromatic herbs from their windowsill pots or cellar jars. The preparation emphasizes patience and respect for the vegetable, peeled, cubed, and tossed gently with oil and seasonings, then roasted slowly in a hot oven until the edges caramelize and the interior becomes tender and fragrant. That subtle browning brings out a nutty sweetness that belies the humble origins of the root. Culturally, roasted celeriac carried more than flavor. It carried a story of resourcefulness. Families who could stretch a little butter and herbs over a hearty root vegetable were practicing culinary ingenuity. It was a dish for both daily meals and special occasions, showing how even the simplest ingredients could be elevated through thoughtful preparation. In today's culinary landscape, roasted celeriac feels simultaneously retro and sophisticated. It doesn't compete with flashy restaurant sides or the instant gratification of microwaved vegetables, but for those who savor slow cooking, it offers depth, warmth, and a connection to the kitchens of our forebears. The fragrant aroma of herbs mingling with caramelized root creates a sensory bridge to the past, reminding us that elegance can emerge from the most unassuming ingredients, and that sometimes the most satisfying meals are the ones that require a little patience, a little love, and a lot of respect for what the earth provides. Mashed salsify. Mashed salsify is one of those dishes that makes you wonder why it ever fell out of favor. Known as the oyster plant in Europe for its subtly briny flavor, salsify was a prized winter root in early 20th century kitchens, particularly during wartime rationing. Families relied on its long, slender roots to add substance and a touch of sophistication to otherwise sparse meals. It's humble, yes, but when cooked and mashed, it reveals a creamy, delicate flavor that pairs beautifully with butter, milk, and a pinch of salt. The origin of mashed salsify is rooted in necessity and ingenuity. During World War II, sugar and meat were rationed, yet households still sought ways to make meals comforting. Salsify, alongside carrots and parsnips, became a versatile, shelf-stable option. The recipe itself is elegantly simple. Scrub and peel the roots, simmer until tender, then mash with butter, milk, and seasoning. A touch of nutmeg or a drizzle of cream can elevate it, though in its wartime form, it was often just a whisper of butter to coax out the natural sweetness. What makes mashed salsify memorable is more than its flavor. It's the nostalgia of kitchens warmed by simmering pots, of mothers and grandmothers transforming plain ingredients into something special. Eating it today is like tasting history, a gentle reminder of resilience and creativity when resources were limited. There's a quiet satisfaction in serving something that feels both old-fashioned and surprisingly refined. Modern palates may be unfamiliar with salsify, and it rarely appears on restaurant menus or Instagram feeds. Yet it holds its own against today's mashed potatoes and gourmet root purees. Its subtle flavor and silky texture offer a reprieve from overly processed or flashy dishes, reminding us that comfort can be understated. Mashed salsify is a lesson in patience and appreciation. The slow simmer, the careful mashing, the modest seasoning, all combine to create a dish that, while forgotten, deserves a place on our tables once again. It's history on a plate, earthy and elegant, waiting quietly for rediscovery. Turnip greens with bacon. Turnip greens with bacon is the kind of dish that carries both flavor and history in every bite. In Southern kitchens throughout the 19th and early 20th centuries, turnip greens were more than a side. They were a statement of resourcefulness and community. Families stretched every scrap of food, and bacon, often a small allowance from the winter hog, added the smoky, savory richness that turned simple leafy greens into a meal worth gathering around the table for. The origins of this dish are deeply rooted in Southern food culture and African American culinary traditions. During times of economic hardship, greens like turnip, collard, and mustard were reliable staples, thriving even when other crops failed. Bacon, salt pork, or ham hocks were used sparingly to impart flavor, making the greens hearty and satisfying without requiring expensive ingredients. The dish is a testament to frugality and creativity, a way to turn humble produce into a deeply flavorful, nourishing meal. Ingredients are straightforward: fresh turnip greens, a small amount of bacon or smoked pork, onions if available, and seasonings like salt, pepper, and a dash of vinegar. The preparation is simple yet deliberate. Bacon is rendered slowly to release its fat, onions sautéed, and the greens wilted gently until tender, absorbing the smoky essence. Some cooks simmer the greens for longer, creating a deep, comforting flavor that lingers in both memory and appetite. Emotionally, turnip greens with bacon evoke family tables, Sunday dinners, and the quiet pride of making something extraordinary from the ordinary. There's a warmth in the smell of bacon sizzling, the earthy aroma of the greens, and the knowledge that even in lean times, a meal could be satisfying, communal, and celebratory. In a modern context, this dish feels both classic and rebellious. Skipping the fast food greens for a slow-cooked, flavorful side reminds us of how food connects us to heritage. Turnip greens with bacon aren't flashy, but they're soulful. They teach patience, appreciation, and the joy of taking humble ingredients and turning them into something that nourishes not just the body, but the heart as well. Honey-glazed rutabaga. Honey-glazed rutabaga is one of those dishes that manages to be both comforting and a little bit fancy, a rarity for a root vegetable often overlooked at the market. Back in the 1970s, when families were experimenting with economical ways to stretch meals, rutabaga emerged as a winter staple, hearty, affordable, and surprisingly versatile. Paired with a drizzle of honey, this humble root transforms into a dish that feels celebratory without breaking the budget. The origin of honey-glazed rutabaga is tied to frugality and creativity. Rutabagas, with their pale orange flesh and slightly sweet, earthy flavor, were a favorite among households looking to feed a family with minimal cost. They could be stored through the cold months and turned into soups, casseroles, or roasted sides. Glazing them with a touch of honey was a clever way to enhance their natural sweetness, turning an everyday vegetable into a dish that could sit proudly alongside roast chicken or holiday ham. Ingredients are simple: a rutabaga, butter, honey, a pinch of salt, and perhaps a sprinkle of cinnamon or nutmeg if you want to feel a little fancy. Preparation is straightforward but mindful. The rutabaga is peeled and cut into cubes, boiled or roasted until tender, then coated with butter and honey, letting the natural sugars caramelize slightly. The result is a golden, glossy side dish with a gentle sweetness that complements savory mains and adds warmth to any meal. Honey-glazed rutabaga carries nostalgia for many families, evoking images of cozy kitchens and winter dinners where resourcefulness met comfort. It's a dish that celebrates what was available, showing how a little creativity can elevate even the most unassuming ingredients. In today's fast-paced culinary world, honey-glazed rutabaga may seem old-fashioned, yet it has quietly held its place among modern cooks who value flavor, simplicity, and history. Its balance of sweet and earthy, its tender yet hearty texture, reminds us that roots from the earth can be transformed into something truly memorable. A humble vegetable becomes a centerpiece, proving that even forgotten dishes can surprise us with their enduring charm. Carrot and onion braise. Carrot and onion braise is a dish that feels like a warm hug on a plate, simple, comforting, and quietly sophisticated. In the kitchens of the early to mid-20th century, when frugality was less a choice and more a necessity, carrots and onions were dependable, shelf-stable vegetables that could be turned into something greater than the sum of the parts. Slow-cooked, with a bit of fat and seasoning, these humble ingredients became a tender, flavorful side dish that could complement any main course from roast meats to stews. The origin of this dish lies in resourceful home cooking. Families during the Depression era or wartime rationing learned to stretch ingredients creatively, turning inexpensive vegetables into meals that felt generous. Carrots and onions, often plentiful even in lean seasons, were ideal candidates. Braising, which involves gently cooking the vegetables in a small amount of liquid, allows cooks to develop rich flavors without expensive additives or lengthy preparation. A touch of butter, a drizzle of oil, or even a splash of broth could coax out the natural sweetness of the vegetables, while a sprinkle of herbs added depth and aroma. Preparation is straightforward but requires patience. Carrots and onions are sliced uniformly, sautéed briefly to release their natural sugars, and then simmered slowly in broth, water, or even a bit of wine until tender. The slow cooking allows the flavors to meld, producing a soft, fragrant dish that feels indulgent despite its simplicity. A sprinkle of fresh herbs at the end, parsley, thyme, or rosemary, adds color and brightness, making it visually inviting as well as flavorful. Emotionally, carrot and onion braise carries the nostalgia of kitchen tables in homes where the goal was nourishment, not extravagance. It evokes memories of family dinners, the smell of simmering vegetables filling the air, and the quiet pride of turning simple ingredients into something comforting and elegant. Today, this dish may seem modest compared to flashier sides or instant meals, but its appeal endures. It's a reminder that flavor doesn't always require fuss or expense, and that even the humblest vegetables, when treated with care and patience, can become a timeless part of the table. Carrot and onion braise is proof that history, taste, and heart can coexist in a single, steaming serving. Parsnip soup. Parsnip soup is the kind of dish that comforts from the first fragrant steam that rises from the pot. In the kitchens of the 19th and early 20th centuries, parsnips were a winter staple, prized for their natural sweetness and ability to keep through long, cold months. Families relied on them not only for sustenance, but also for creating dishes that felt hearty and satisfying when other vegetables were scarce. A simple pot of parsnip soup could warm a whole household, proving that humble roots could offer both nourishment and a touch of elegance. The origins of parsnip soup are tied to necessity and ingenuity. During periods of economic hardship or wartime rationing, cooks had to stretch ingredients and find creative ways to bring flavor to the table. Parsnips, often stored in root cellars, became a versatile base for soups, mashed dishes, and even sweet treats. In its simplest form, parsnip soup required little more than the roots themselves, water or broth, and a modest amount of seasoning. Those with access to butter, cream, or herbs could elevate the soup further, creating a velvety, rich dish that felt special despite its humble components. Preparation is deceptively simple. Parsnips are peeled and chopped, then simmered in water or stock until soft. Once tender, they are pureed until smooth, with butter or cream stirred in to add richness. A pinch of salt, a dash of pepper, and perhaps a hint of nutmeg or thyme completes the flavor profile. The result is a creamy, lightly sweet soup that carries the earthy essence of the parsnip while feeling comforting and refined. Emotionally, parsnip soup evokes memories of winter kitchens, the quiet satisfaction of a hot meal shared with family, and the resourcefulness of cooks who could make a little go a long way. Modern palates may overlook it in favor of trendy root blends or packaged soups, but tasting parsnip soup today is like stepping back in time. It reminds us that flavor, warmth, and comfort often come from the simplest ingredients, patiently prepared with care and intention. In every spoonful, there's history, ingenuity, and a gentle, lingering sweetness that feels timeless. Beet and apple slaw. Beet and apple slaw is a dish that balances earthiness and sweetness in a way that feels both nostalgic and refreshingly modern. In early 20th century kitchens, especially in rural and farm households, beets were a staple crop, hardy enough to last through cold winters, while apples, harvested in the fall, added a bright, crisp contrast. Combining the two created a salad that was colorful, flavorful, and nourishing, a rare treat when fresh produce could be scarce during certain seasons. The origins of beet and apple slaw are rooted in practicality and creativity. Families needed ways to stretch ingredients, and pairing vegetables with fruit was a clever solution to add variety and interest to the table. This slaw made use of what was abundant and in season, transforming humble roots into a dish that felt light, festive, and satisfying. Vinegar, a touch of sugar, or a simple oil dressing often completed the salad, enhancing the natural flavors without masking them. Ingredients are straightforward: raw beets, crisp apples, a bit of onion if desired, and a dressing made from vinegar, oil, salt, and sugar. The preparation emphasizes freshness and balance. Beets are peeled and shredded finely, apples julienned, and everything tossed together just before serving to maintain texture. The result is a visually striking dish: deep magenta beets mingling with golden apple slices, dotted with green herbs, ready to complement heavier mains or enliven a simple lunch. Emotionally, beet and apple slaw evokes the memory of sunny kitchen windows, the crunch of freshly harvested produce, and the quiet pride of creating something both practical and pleasing. It's a dish that speaks of ingenuity, showing that even when resources were limited, cooks could craft meals that delighted the senses. Today, beet and apple slaw may feel like a relic from a simpler time, yet it holds up beautifully against modern trends for fresh, vibrant, and healthful dishes. Its balance of sweet and earthy flavors, its crisp texture, and its visual appeal remind us that history on a plate doesn't have to be heavy or complicated. It can be refreshing, bright, and timeless. Roasted Jerusalem artichokes. Roasted Jerusalem artichokes are a dish that feels simultaneously rustic and surprisingly sophisticated. Often overlooked today, these knobby golden tubers were once a staple in European and early American kitchens, prized for their hearty nature and nutty, slightly sweet flavor. During times of scarcity, whether in rural homesteads or wartime kitchens, Jerusalem artichokes provided a reliable, shelf-stable vegetable that could be transformed into something truly comforting with minimal effort. The origin of this dish lies in practicality and ingenuity. Farmers and homesteaders appreciated Jerusalem artichokes for their ability to grow in poor soil and harsh climates, producing a bountiful harvest when other crops failed. The preparation was simple yet deliberate. Scrub the tubers clean, slice them into uniform pieces, toss with oil or butter, and roast slowly until caramelized and tender. Herbs like thyme, rosemary, or parsley could be added to elevate the flavor, while a hint of garlic or a squeeze of lemon brightened the earthy richness. Ingredients are intentionally minimal, reflecting the frugality of the times. Jerusalem artichokes, oil or butter, salt, pepper, and seasonal herbs. The roasting process draws out their natural sweetness and creates a golden, crisp exterior while maintaining a creamy interior. The aroma alone, earthy, nutty, with a whisper of caramel, evokes memories of rustic kitchens and warm family meals gathered around the table. Emotionally, roasted Jerusalem artichokes carry a sense of resourcefulness and nostalgia. They remind us of a time when cooks turned whatever the garden or farm provided into something nourishing and elegant. Eating them today is an invitation to slow down and appreciate the simple pleasure of seasonal, thoughtfully prepared food. In the modern culinary landscape, Jerusalem artichokes may seem quirky or old-fashioned, but their flavor and versatility hold up beautifully. They pair well with roasted meats, winter grains, or even on their own as a side dish, offering a connection to heritage cooking that celebrates ingenuity and flavor. Roasted Jerusalem artichokes prove that even the most unassuming vegetables can be transformed into something remarkable, reminding us that history, taste, and creativity are often rooted right beneath our feet. Potato and onion gratin. Potato and onion gratin is a dish that feels both indulgent and reassuringly simple. A comfort food with roots in kitchens where frugality met finesse. In early 20th century households, particularly during the Great Depression, potatoes were a reliable staple, and onions added depth and aroma without extra cost. When layered together and baked slowly with butter and a touch of cream or milk, these humble ingredients transformed into a golden, bubbling side dish that could elevate any meal, from weekday dinners to holiday spreads. The origin of this gratin lies in practical ingenuity. Families needed meals that were filling, affordable, and easy to prepare in large quantities. Potatoes and onions were perfect for this purpose, inexpensive, available year-round, and versatile. The gratin technique, layering thin slices of potato and onion, seasoning them, and baking them slowly, allowed cooks to stretch ingredients while creating complex flavors from simple elements. A modest topping of breadcrumbs or sprinkle of cheese, if available, added a touch of richness without overwhelming the dish. Ingredients are straightforward: potatoes, onions, butter, milk or cream, salt, pepper, and optional herbs like thyme or parsley. Preparation emphasizes patience. The potatoes and onions are sliced thinly, layered carefully in a buttered dish, and poured over with liquid before baking. Slow cooking encourages the flavors to meld, creating a creamy interior and a lightly crisp golden top. The aroma that fills the kitchen, earthy potatoes, sweet onions, and warm butter, is nostalgic and inviting, a sensory memory of family meals around the table. Emotionally, potato and onion gratin carries the warmth of communal cooking. It evokes kitchens where families gathered to share modest but satisfying meals, where simplicity was celebrated and creativity turned limited ingredients into comfort. In today's fast-paced culinary world, this gratin may seem old-fashioned, yet it stands up beautifully to modern palates. Its creamy texture, savory depth, and simple elegance remind us that even the most unassuming ingredients can produce a dish that feels timeless, cozy, and full of history. Potato and onion gratin is a humble masterpiece, a testament to the enduring appeal of thoughtful, home-cooked food. Sweet potato pie with minimal sugar. Sweet potato pie with minimal sugar is a dish that speaks to both ingenuity and subtle indulgence. In Southern kitchens during the 19th and early 20th centuries, sugar was often scarce or expensive, but sweet potatoes were abundant, hearty, and versatile. This pie emerged as a clever solution, a dessert that felt celebratory and comforting without relying on lavish amounts of sugar. Its natural sweetness, enhanced by warming spices like cinnamon and nutmeg, created a cozy, satisfying treat that became a staple of family gatherings and holiday tables. The origin of this pie lies in resourcefulness and tradition. African-American households, in particular, elevated humble ingredients into dishes that carried both cultural identity and emotional resonance. Sweet potatoes, harvested in the fall and stored through the winter, provided the perfect base for pies, puddings, and casseroles. By relying on the vegetable's inherent sweetness and using minimal added sugar, cooks created desserts that were both frugal and flavorful, a testament to culinary creativity born from necessity. Ingredients are simple: cooked and mashed sweet potatoes, a modest amount of sugar or molasses, butter, milk or cream, eggs, and a blend of spices such as cinnamon, nutmeg, and a hint of vanilla. Some versions include a touch of citrus zest or a splash of rum for extra depth. But at its core, the pie relies on the natural flavor of the sweet potato. Preparation involves combining the mashed sweet potatoes with the remaining ingredients, pouring the mixture into a prepared crust, and baking until set and lightly browned. The result is a silky, fragrant filling encased in a tender, flaky pastry. Emotionally, sweet potato pie evokes warmth, family, and the quiet pride of making something special from humble ingredients. Its aroma fills the kitchen, inviting conversation, laughter, and connection around the table. Today, sweet potato pie with minimal sugar may feel both traditional and health-conscious, standing in contrast to overly sweet, mass-produced desserts. It reminds us that flavor does not always require excess, and that patience, care, and respect for quality ingredients can turn even the simplest root into a dish that delights, comforts, and carries the legacy of generations past. Pickled carrots. Pickled carrots are a dish that perfectly captures the art of preservation, turning a humble root into something tangy, crunchy, and full of character. Long before grocery stores stocked endless jars of pre-made pickles, families relied on pickling as a way to store vegetables through the winter months. Carrots, hearty and abundant, were ideal candidates, providing both nutrition and flavor when fresh produce was scarce. The bright orange of the roots, brined and seasoned, also added a cheerful pop to otherwise muted winter meals. The origin of pickled carrots is rooted in necessity and creativity. During the 19th and early 20th centuries, households in rural America and Europe depended on root vegetables as staples. Pickling was more than a method of preservation. It was a way to enhance flavor and make simple ingredients exciting. A splash of vinegar, a pinch of sugar, and a few aromatics like mustard seeds, dill, or garlic could transform raw carrots into a tangy, satisfying accompaniment to soups, stews, and cold cuts. Ingredients are intentionally simple yet flexible. Fresh carrots, vinegar, water, salt, sugar, and optional spices such as peppercorns, bay leaves, or dried herbs. Preparation involves slicing the carrots into sticks or rounds, blanching them briefly if desired, and submerging them in a heated brine. Once cooled, the jars are sealed and stored in a cool place, allowing the flavors to develop over days or weeks. The result is a crisp, slightly sweet, and pleasantly acidic vegetable that brightens any meal. Emotionally, pickled carrots evoke the wisdom of generations who understood the value of patience and foresight. They carry the memory of kitchens alive with the hum of preservation, steaming jars, the tang of vinegar, and the pride of turning a simple harvest into a staple that could be enjoyed long after the garden had been cleared. In modern kitchens, pickled carrots may seem old-fashioned, yet they remain a vibrant, flavorful side that complements both traditional and contemporary meals. They remind us that the simplest ingredients, treated with care and a bit of imagination, can provide nourishment, flavor, and a connection to the resourcefulness of cooks from the past. Parsnip and apple mash. Parsnip and apple mash is a dish that manages to be both sweet and earthy, a pairing that might seem unusual at first, but has been cherished in kitchens for generations. In the late 19th and early 20th centuries, families often relied on root vegetables and seasonal fruits to create meals that were filling, flavorful, and economical. Parsnips provided a naturally sweet, creamy base, while apples added a bright, tangy note, transforming a humble side dish into something that felt almost festive without requiring lavish ingredients. The origin of this dish is rooted in frugality and creativity. During times when sugar and imported fruits were scarce, home cooks turned to what they had in abundance: root vegetables stored in cool cellars, and apples harvested from local orchards. By combining the two, they created a dish that stretched resources, delighted the palate, and added variety to otherwise simple winter meals. The mash also reflects a broader culinary wisdom, pairing contrasting flavors, sweet and earthy, soft and crisp, creates complexity without fuss or expense. Ingredients are simple: peeled and chopped parsnips, apples, a modest amount of butter, a splash of milk or cream, and a pinch of salt and pepper. Some recipes call for a dash of cinnamon or nutmeg to enhance warmth, but even without spices, the natural flavors shine. Preparation involves boiling or steaming the parsnips and apples until tender, then mashing them together until smooth. The gentle simmering allows the flavors to meld, resulting in a creamy, fragrant mash that is subtly sweet with a comforting texture. Emotionally, parsnip and apple mash evokes family tables during chilly winters, kitchens filled with the smell of simmering roots and fruits, and the quiet pride of making something delicious from simple ingredients. It's a dish that reminds us that ingenuity in the kitchen often arises from limitation, and that the most unassuming vegetables can carry warmth, flavor, and memory. In modern kitchens, this mash may feel retro, but its balance of flavors and nostalgic charm make it surprisingly relevant. It's a reminder that sometimes the simplest combinations, root and fruit, sweet and earthy, are the ones that leave the longest lasting impression on both the table and the heart. Celeriac remoulade. Celeriac remoulade is a dish that feels elegant and crisp, yet it hails from a tradition of frugal ingenuity. This French-inspired salad, made from the knobby, pale root known as celeriac, became a way for home cooks to turn a humble, winter-stored vegetable into something fresh, flavorful, and visually striking. In the late 19th and early 20th centuries, celeriac was widely appreciated in European kitchens for its earthy, slightly nutty taste and its long shelf life, making it ideal for dishes that could brighten a table during the colder months. The origin of celeriac remoulade lies in both necessity and finesse. In homes where access to fresh greens was limited during winter, celeriac provided a crisp, refreshing alternative. Shredded into fine julienne strips and tossed with a mustardy, creamy dressing, it became a side dish that felt luxurious despite its simple, inexpensive ingredients. The preparation reflects a balance of technique and practicality. A careful hand ensures thin, even slices, while the dressing, often made with mustard, vinegar, oil, and a touch of seasoning, elevates the natural flavor of the root. Ingredients are minimal but precise: celeriac, a tangy mustard-based dressing, salt, pepper, and sometimes a squeeze of lemon or a sprinkle of fresh herbs. The vegetable is peeled, julienned, and coated evenly with the dressing, allowing the flavors to meld for a few hours in the refrigerator. The result is a crisp, creamy salad with a gentle bite and a delicate balance of earthy root and zesty dressing. Emotionally, celeriac remoulade evokes memories of attentive, skillful home cooking, where care and technique transformed simple produce into a dish worthy of celebration. It reflects a time when cooks maximized the potential of every ingredient, crafting meals that were both practical and refined. In today's kitchens, celeriac remoulade may seem retro, but its crisp texture, subtle flavors, and elegant presentation remain timeless. It serves as a reminder that even the most overlooked vegetables can shine with the right touch, offering both history and sophistication on the modern table. Rutabaga and carrot hash. Rutabaga and carrot hash is a dish that embodies comfort, simplicity, and a touch of ingenuity, perfect for kitchens where stretching ingredients was both a necessity and an art. During the early to mid-20th century, families relied on hearty root vegetables to create filling meals, especially in colder months when fresh produce was scarce. Rutabagas and carrots, with their natural sweetness and firm texture, provided the perfect canvas for a one-pan dish that could serve breakfast, lunch, or a side for dinner. The origin of this hash lies in practicality and resourcefulness. Rural households and wartime families often had limited protein and pantry staples, so root vegetables were transformed into satisfying meals through creative seasoning and careful cooking. By sautéing cubed rutabaga and carrot with a bit of fat, be it butter, lard, or oil, home cooks could coax out deep, caramelized flavors that elevated even the simplest ingredients. A sprinkling of onions, herbs, or a dash of salt and pepper added complexity without extra expense, demonstrating how humble roots could shine with just a little attention. Ingredients are straightforward: rutabaga, carrots, onions if available, fat for cooking, and basic seasonings. Preparation involves peeling and dicing the vegetables into uniform pieces, then sautéing them slowly over medium heat. The goal is to achieve a lightly crisp exterior while keeping the interior tender and flavorful. The natural sugars in the vegetables caramelize during cooking, creating a warm, golden dish that's as aromatic as it is satisfying. Emotionally, rutabaga and carrot hash evokes the smell of kitchens in winter, the comfort of shared meals, and the quiet pride of transforming simple, economical ingredients into something nourishing and delicious. It reminds us that resourcefulness can be as flavorful as extravagance. In a modern context, this hash may feel rustic, even retro, but it holds up beautifully against today's trend for roasted vegetable medleys or grain bowls. It's a testament to the enduring appeal of root vegetables and to a time when frugality inspired creativity, proving that the most modest ingredients can leave a lasting impression on both the table and the heart. Beet and onion tart. Beet and onion tart is a dish that transforms humble vegetables into something visually stunning and richly flavorful. In early 20th century kitchens, beets and onions were staples, easy to store through winter months, and inexpensive enough to feed a family without strain. Combining them into a tart allowed cooks to present a dish that felt celebratory, even when resources were limited. The sweet earthiness of roasted beets paired with the caramelized depth of onions created a balance that was both comforting and sophisticated, a perfect example of turning simplicity into elegance. The origin of this tart lies in ingenuity and practicality. Families learned to make the most of seasonal root vegetables, and tarts offered a versatile canvas. A simple pastry crust, often homemade with basic flour, fat, and water, could encase roasted or sautéed vegetables, enhanced with a touch of butter, herbs, or cheese if available. The preparation emphasizes patience and attention. Thinly sliced beets and onions are roasted or slowly caramelized to bring out their natural sweetness, then arranged artfully in the crust before baking. The result is a dish that is as pleasing to the eye as it is to the palate. Ingredients are intentionally simple: beets, onions, basic pastry, a bit of fat, salt, pepper, and optional herbs like thyme or parsley. Some kitchens added a scattering of cheese or a light custard to enrich the tart, but even in its simplest form, the flavors shine. The careful roasting and layering create depth and complexity, showcasing how thoughtful preparation can elevate basic ingredients. Emotionally, beet and onion tart evokes memories of kitchens, where presentation mattered as much as sustenance, where cooks took pride in turning everyday vegetables into something memorable. The earthy aroma of roasting beets mingling with sweet onions carries a warmth that recalls family dinners and seasonal celebrations. Today, this tart may seem old-fashioned compared to modern vegetable bakes or trendy grain bowls, but its balance of flavors and elegant simplicity endure. Beet and onion tart is a reminder that humble roots treated with care and imagination can create dishes that are timeless, visually striking, and deeply satisfying. Mashed turnips. Mashed turnips are a dish that whispers of history in every creamy, slightly sweet bite. Once a staple in rural and frugal kitchens, particularly during the 19th and early 20th centuries, turnips were relied upon for their hardiness, affordability, and versatility. In an era when fresh vegetables could be scarce during the winter months, turnips offered sustenance and comfort, and mashing them into a soft, buttery side transformed a humble root into something unexpectedly satisfying. The origin of mashed turnips lies in practicality and ingenuity. Families with limited resources turned to root vegetables to create dishes that were filling and flavorful. Turnips, often stored in cool cellars for months, could be boiled or steamed until tender and then mashed with whatever fat or dairy was on hand. Butter, cream, or milk enriched the texture, while salt, pepper, and sometimes a pinch of nutmeg or herbs elevated the flavor without adding expense. It was a dish born of necessity but perfected through care and attention. Ingredients are intentionally simple: turnips, butter or cream, salt, pepper, and optional seasonings. Preparation involves peeling and chopping the turnips, cooking them until soft, then mashing to a smooth consistency. The gentle cooking process brings out their natural sweetness while tempering any bitterness, resulting in a comforting, velvety side that pairs beautifully with roasted meats or hearty stews. Emotionally, mashed turnips evoke memories of cozy kitchens in winter, the smell of boiling roots filling the air, and the quiet pride of turning modest ingredients into something nourishing and delightful. It's a dish that reminds us of the resilience and creativity of past generations, who made the most of what the land provided. In modern kitchens, mashed turnips may feel retro, even humble, but their flavor and texture endure. They offer a gentle contrast to more common mashed potatoes and encourage a return to seasonal, thoughtfully prepared. Honey roasted carrots. Honey roasted carrots are a dish that transforms a simple, humble vegetable into something golden, sweet, and irresistibly fragrant. In kitchens from the early 20th century through the 1970s, carrots were an inexpensive, hearty root vegetable that could be stored through winter months. With just a drizzle of honey and a touch of fat, home cooks elevated carrots from a plain side to a dish that felt celebratory. Perfect for Sunday dinners, holiday meals, or any occasion that called for warmth and comfort at the table. The origin of honey roasted carrots is rooted in both practicality and culinary creativity. Families relied on roots like carrots for sustenance, but adding honey, a luxury in small amounts, turned them into a treat without overspending. Roasting allowed the natural sugars in the carrots to caramelize, creating a golden exterior and tender interior that brought out a depth of flavor impossible to achieve through boiling alone. A pinch of salt or a sprinkle of herbs like thyme or rosemary enhanced the dish further, highlighting the subtle earthiness of the carrots while adding aroma and complexity. Ingredients are straightforward: fresh carrots, honey, a bit of butter or oil, salt, and optional herbs. Preparation is simple but requires attention. Carrots are peeled and cut into uniform sticks or rounds, tossed with honey and fat, and roasted slowly in a hot oven. The process allows the sweetness to intensify and the edges to caramelize, producing a dish that is visually appealing, aromatic, and deeply flavorful. Emotionally, honey roasted carrots evoke kitchens filled with the smell of roasting roots, the warmth of shared meals, and the quiet satisfaction of creating something delightful from simple ingredients. It's a dish that celebrates ingenuity, showing how a little care and minimal additions can can transform an everyday vegetable into a centerpiece. In today's culinary landscape, honey-roasted carrots remain relevant, standing proudly alongside modern roasted vegetable medleys or gourmet side dishes. They are a reminder that patience, thoughtful seasoning, and respect for natural flavors can turn the simplest ingredients into dishes that are timeless, comforting, and full of history. Honey-roasted carrots are proof that even the most ordinary roots can shine with a little sweetness and a lot of love. Creamed parsnips. Creamed parsnips are a dish that embodies gentle indulgence, turning a humble winter root into a luscious, velvety side. In early to mid-20th century kitchens, particularly during times when resources were limited, parsnips were a reliable staple, sweet, storable, and versatile. When simmered in butter, cream, or milk, they transformed into a rich, comforting dish that could complement meats or stand on their own as a centerpiece for a modest yet satisfying meal. The origin of creamed parsnips lies in frugality paired with creativity. Families sought ways to stretch ingredients while still providing meals that felt nourishing and, at times, indulgent. Parsnips, often stored through the winter in root cellars, were perfect candidates. The process of creaming, mashing the cooked roots and gently simmering them with dairy and seasonings, elevated a simple vegetable into something smooth, flavorful, and slightly decadent. In households where butter or cream was limited, even a small amount added richness that felt luxurious. Ingredients are minimal but purposeful. Parsnips, butter, cream or milk, salt, pepper, and optional spices such as nutmeg or a hint of mustard for depth. Preparation involves peeling and chopping the parsnips, boiling or steaming them until tender, then combining with fat and liquid while mashing to a creamy consistency. Slow heating allows the flavors to meld and the natural sweetness of the parsnip to shine, producing a dish that is simultaneously soft, comforting, and subtly sweet. Emotionally, creamed parsnips evoke kitchens warmed by the smell of simmering roots and dairy, family tables gathered around steaming bowls, and the quiet pride of transforming humble ingredients into something special. The dish carries nostalgia, reminding us of a time when patience and care were as essential to cooking as the ingredients themselves. In modern kitchens, creamed parsnips may seem retro, yet they remain timeless. They offer a richer, more nuanced alternative to mashed potatoes, appealing to those who appreciate flavor, history, and texture. Creamed parsnips are a reminder that simplicity, patience, and a little bit of indulgence can elevate even the most unassuming root into a dish worthy of memory and celebration. Root vegetable stew. Root vegetable stew is a dish that embodies warmth, sustenance, and a deep connection to the land. In kitchens of the 19th and early 20th centuries, especially during harsh winters or times of scarcity, families relied on root vegetables, carrots, turnips, parsnips, rutabagas, and potatoes to create hearty, nourishing meals. Stewing them together with simple seasonings allowed households to stretch ingredients, feeding hungry families with a pot of comfort that was as filling as it was flavorful. The origin of root vegetable stew lies in necessity and ingenuity. Farmers and rural households often had limited access to meat, yet root vegetables were abundant, storable, and inexpensive. By simmering these roots slowly in water, stock, or a bit of fat, cooks could coax out natural flavors, creating depth without expensive or exotic ingredients. Herbs, onions, and occasionally a splash of vinegar or a dash of spice added aroma and complexity, turning a simple medley of vegetables into a dish that felt wholesome and satisfying. Ingredients are flexible but foundational. A variety of root vegetables, water or stock, a fat such as butter or lard, salt, pepper, and herbs like thyme or bay leaves. Preparation involves chopping the vegetables into uniform pieces, sautéing them lightly if desired, and simmering slowly until tender. The long cooking time allows flavors to meld and the vegetables to release their natural sweetness, producing a stew that is both rustic and comforting. Emotionally, root vegetable stew evokes kitchens filled with the scent of simmering roots, the warmth of shared meals, and the pride of creating nourishment from what the land provided. It's a dish that reminds us of resilience and resourcefulness, how simple ingredients treated with care can provide both sustenance and joy. In modern cooking, root vegetable stew may feel retro, yet its appeal endures. It stands as a wholesome alternative to processed convenience foods, offering layers of flavor, texture, and history in each spoonful. This stew reminds us that simplicity can be satisfying, that comfort can be humble, and that even the most overlooked vegetables can create meals that are timeless, nourishing, and full of heart. Sautéed celeriac. Sautéed celeriac is a dish that turns a knobby, unassuming root into a tender, flavorful side that feels both rustic and refined. In European and American kitchens of the 19th and early 20th centuries, celeriac was valued for its earthy flavor, versatility, and long shelf life, especially during winter months when fresh vegetables were scarce. A simple sauté could elevate this humble root, bringing out its subtle nuttiness and creamy texture with minimal ingredients. The origin of sautéed celeriac lies in practicality and resourcefulness. Families relied on root vegetables for sustenance, and simple cooking methods like sautéing allowed them to transform these humble ingredients into something delicious and visually appealing. By combining celeriac with a modest amount of fat, be it butter, oil, or rendered pork fat, and seasoning with salt, pepper, and occasionally herbs or garlic, cooks created a dish that complemented meats, grains, and other vegetables, proving that frugality could coexist with flavor. Ingredients are minimal: celeriac, butter or oil, salt, pepper, and optional additions like thyme, parsley, or a splash of lemon juice. Preparation involves peeling the celeriac, slicing it into thin, even pieces, and sautéing over medium heat until tender and lightly golden. The slow cooking enhances its natural sweetness, while gentle browning adds depth and aroma, making it a satisfying dish both in texture and taste. Emotionally, sautéed celeriac evokes memories of kitchens warmed by sizzling roots and fragrant herbs, of meals made with care and creativity, even in modest households. It speaks to the pride of turning overlooked vegetables into something worthy of the table, demonstrating how simple techniques can highlight the inherent qualities of ingredients. In modern kitchens, sautéed celeriac feels both classic and contemporary, a perfect side for those seeking seasonal, flavorful vegetables without fuss. Its earthy, slightly sweet flavor, delicate texture, and nostalgic charm remind us that even the most unassuming roots can shine when treated with patience, respect, and a touch of culinary imagination. Roasted beet risotto. Roasted beet risotto is a dish that combines the earthy sweetness of beets with the creamy, comforting texture of traditional risotto, creating a side, or even main, that feels both elegant and deeply satisfying. While risotto is often associated with Italian city kitchens, the use of roasted root vegetables like beets speaks to a broader tradition of transforming humble, seasonal ingredients into dishes with flair. In rural households of the early 20th century, beets were plentiful and storable, making them an ideal candidate for inventive, filling meals. The origin of roasted beet risotto lies in both resourcefulness and refinement. Families with limited access to meat or luxury ingredients often relied on roots and grains to create hearty meals. Arborio rice or other local grains could be cooked slowly, absorbing the natural sweetness and vibrant color of roasted beets. Minimal additions like butter, a splash of cream, or grated cheese brought richness without overshadowing the vegetable's flavor. Herbs like thyme or parsley added aromatic depth, showcasing how thoughtful preparation could elevate modest ingredients. Ingredients are straightforward: roasted beets, risotto rice, stock or water, butter or oil, salt, pepper, and optional additions like parmesan or fresh herbs. Preparation involves roasting the beets until tender, then finely chopping or pureeing them to fold into slowly cooked risotto. The rice absorbs the flavor and color of the beets while maintaining a creamy texture, creating a visually stunning, richly flavored dish. Emotionally, roasted beet risotto evokes kitchens where patience and care were key, where simple, seasonal ingredients were transformed into meals worthy of celebration. The vibrant color and earthy sweetness of the beets create a sensory experience that feels both comforting and sophisticated, recalling family tables or intimate gatherings warmed by thoughtful cooking. In modern kitchens, roasted beet risotto bridges tradition and contemporary taste. It highlights the versatility of root vegetables and the enduring appeal of slow, attentive cooking. This dish is a reminder that even ingredients often overlooked, like humble beets, can shine brightly when treated with care, patience, and a touch of culinary creativity. Carrot and parsnip fritters. Carrot and parsnip fritters are a dish that turns humble root vegetables into crispy, flavorful bites, perfect as a side or snack. In kitchens of the early to mid-20th century, when frugality was a guiding principle, families often relied on inexpensive, storable vegetables like carrots and parsnips to create dishes that felt indulgent without breaking the budget. By grating and lightly seasoning these roots before pan frying, home cooks transformed simple ingredients into something crispy, golden, and utterly satisfying. The origin of carrot and parsnip fritters lies in ingenuity and resourcefulness. During times of economic hardship, cooks needed ways to make vegetables appealing and versatile. Fritters offered a way to stretch ingredients, adding eggs or a bit of flour to bind the mixture and creating a dish that could feed a family efficiently. The method allowed for caramelization and crispness, bringing out the natural sweetness of the roots while adding texture and richness, even without large amounts of fat or oil. Ingredients are simple: carrots, parsnips, eggs, a touch of flour or breadcrumbs, salt, pepper, and optional seasonings such as nutmeg, thyme, or parsley. Preparation involves peeling and grating the vegetables, combining them with the binder and seasoning, then pan frying small patties until golden on both sides. The result is a fritter that's tender on the inside, crisp on the outside, and lightly sweet with an earthy undertone. Emotionally, carrot and parsnip fritters evoke kitchens where creativity met practicality, and where even modest ingredients could become a delight at the table. They recall family meals, the smell of sizzling roots filling the air, and the satisfaction of transforming simple vegetables into something everyone looked forward to eating. In modern kitchens, these fritters are both retro and relevant. They appeal to those seeking vegetable-forward dishes, nostalgic flavors, or simple comfort food with a twist. Carrot and parsnip fritters are a testament to the idea that humble roots, when treated with care and imagination, can become memorable, flavorful, and deeply satisfying dishes. Turnip pie. Turnip pie is a dish that transforms a humble root into a hearty, savory centerpiece, a testament to frugality and culinary creativity. In rural and working-class kitchens of the 19th and early 20th centuries, turnips were a staple, affordable, storable, and versatile. Encasing them in a pastry crust or layering them with simple seasonings created a dish that felt substantial and comforting, perfect for feeding a family when resources were limited. Despite its simplicity, turnip pie carries a depth of flavor that surprises the modern palate. The origin of turnip pie lies in practicality and ingenuity. Families needed meals that were filling, economical, and easy to prepare in large quantities. Turnips, sometimes combined with onions, herbs, or small amounts of meat or cheese, provided the base for a dish that could be baked slowly to develop flavor and aroma. The pie format, whether a full crust, open-faced, or layered like a gratin, allowed cooks to stretch ingredients while producing something visually appealing and satisfying. Ingredients are simple: turnips, basic pastry, or a simple flour and fat topping, salt, pepper, and optional additions like onions, cheese, or herbs. Preparation involves peeling and slicing the turnips thinly, seasoning them, and layering them in the crust or dish. Baking slowly in the oven allows the natural sweetness of the turnips to emerge, while the pastry becomes golden and crisp. The result is a dish that is tender, flavorful, and hearty, with a rustic elegance that belies its humble components. Emotionally, turnip pie evokes kitchens, where patience and care transformed basic ingredients into nourishing meals. It recalls family dinners, winter evenings warmed by a hot oven, and the quiet pride of making something special out of what was on hand. In modern kitchens, turnip pie may seem unusual, but it holds up beautifully against contemporary vegetable tarts or savory pies. Its balance of earthy, sweet, and savory flavors reminds us that even the simplest root vegetables can become memorable dishes when treated thoughtfully. Turnip pie is proof that history, ingenuity, and flavor can coexist in a single golden slice. Sweet potato and rutabaga gratin. Sweet potato and rutabaga gratin is a dish that feels indulgent yet wholesome, a celebration of winter roots transformed into a golden, creamy side. In early 20th century kitchens, both sweet potatoes and rutabagas were valued for their affordability, storability, and natural sweetness. Layered together and baked slowly with butter, milk, or cream, these humble vegetables could become a centerpiece on the family table, offering warmth, flavor, and a subtle touch of elegance even in modest households. The origin of this gratin lies in practicality and culinary creativity. Families sought ways to make root vegetables appealing and satisfying, particularly during cold months when fresh produce was limited. By combining the naturally sweet rutabaga with the richer, velvety flavor of sweet potatoes, cooks created a layered dish that balanced texture, taste, and color. A light sprinkling of herbs, a pinch of nutmeg, or a modest topping of breadcrumbs could elevate the gratin further without requiring costly ingredients, showcasing how ingenuity could turn simple roots into a feast for both the eyes and palate. Ingredients are straightforward: sweet potatoes, rutabagas, butter, milk or cream, salt, pepper, and optional seasonings like thyme or nutmeg. Preparation involves peeling and slicing the vegetables evenly, layering them in a buttered dish, and pouring over the cream or milk. Slow baking allows the layers to meld, creating a tender, flavorful interior with a lightly golden, slightly crisp top. The aroma of roasting roots and butter fills the kitchen, signaling warmth and comfort. Emotionally, sweet potato and rutabaga gratin evokes cozy winter kitchens, family gatherings, and the quiet pride of making something nourishing and beautiful from modest ingredients. It's a dish that celebrates both resourcefulness and care, proving that flavor and elegance are not reserved for the extravagant. In modern kitchens, this gratin remains timeless. Its balance of earthy and sweet flavors, creamy texture, and nostalgic charm remind us that root vegetables treated thoughtfully can shine as stars of the table. Sweet potato and rutabaga gratin is a comforting, flavorful homage to history and a testament to the enduring appeal of simple seasonal ingredients. Braised celery root with garlic. Braised celery root with garlic is a dish that feels humble yet sophisticated, showcasing the earthy, nutty flavor of a root vegetable that has long been overlooked. In European and early American kitchens, celeriac, or celery root, was prized for its hardiness and long storage life, particularly during the winter months. Combined with the aromatic warmth of garlic and gently braised in a bit of fat and stock, it transforms into a tender, flavorful side dish that complements both simple and festive meals. The origin of this dish lies in practicality and attention to flavor. Families often relied on root vegetables to stretch meals and provide nutrition during leaner months. And braising was an ideal method to maximize flavor with minimal ingredients. Celeriac's firm texture holds up well to slow cooking, absorbing savory liquids while releasing its own subtle sweetness. Garlic adds depth without overpowering, creating a balance that is both comforting and refined. Ingredients are simple: celeriac, garlic, butter or oil, stock or water, salt, pepper, and optional herbs such as thyme or parsley. Preparation involves peeling and slicing the celeriac into uniform pieces, gently sautéing it with garlic, then simmering in stock until tender. The slow braising allows the flavors to meld and the texture to soften, producing a dish that is aromatic, flavorful, and lightly caramelized at the edges. Emotionally braised celery root with garlic evokes the memory of kitchens, warmed by the aroma of roasting or simmering roots, of meals prepared with care and creativity from modest ingredients. It carries a sense of resourcefulness, reminding us that even the simplest vegetables can be elevated through technique and patience. In modern kitchens, this dish remains relevant, offering a sophisticated yet approachable alternative to more common side vegetables. Its earthy flavor, tender texture, and subtle aromatic notes make it a standout on the table, proving that history, simplicity, and culinary imagination can combine to create dishes that are both timeless and deeply satisfying. Beet soup, borscht variant. Beet soup, a variation of traditional borscht, is a dish that pairs vibrant color with earthy, slightly sweet flavors, creating a meal that is both nourishing and visually striking. In Eastern European and early American kitchens, beets were widely available, inexpensive, and storable through the winter, making them an ideal base for soups that could feed families heartily while stretching limited ingredients. This borscht-inspired variant highlights the versatility of beets, turning a humble root into a warming, aromatic dish that is as comforting as it is beautiful. The origin of beet soup lies in frugality and ingenuity. Families relied on seasonal roots and preserved ingredients to create soups that were filling, flavorful, and nutritious. By combining beets with onions, a simple broth, and a splash of vinegar or citrus for brightness, cooks created a balanced dish that could be served hot or cold, topped with a dollop of cream or yogurt when available. The soup reflects resourcefulness, making the most of what was on hand while transforming ordinary vegetables into a vibrant, celebratory meal. Ingredients are simple: beets, onions, stock or water, vinegar or lemon juice, salt, pepper, and optional additions such as cabbage, carrots, or herbs like dill or parsley. Preparation involves roasting or boiling the beets until tender, then slicing or pureeing them, and simmering with the other vegetables and seasonings. The flavors deepen over time, producing a soup that is richly colored, aromatic, and subtly sweet with a tangy finish. Emotionally, beet soup evokes kitchens alive with the scent of simmering roots, the warmth of family tables, and the pride of creating a dish that nourishes both body and spirit. Its vivid color and layered flavors carry a sense of tradition, resilience, and comfort. In modern kitchens, beet soup remains relevant and appealing, bridging culinary history and contemporary tastes. Its vibrant hue, natural sweetness, and adaptability remind us that even simple roots prepared thoughtfully can yield dishes that are timeless, satisfying, and full of heart. Beet soup is proof that the most modest ingredients can create meals that leave a lasting impression on both the table and memory. Parsnip and carrot puree. Parsnip and carrot puree is a dish that embodies simplicity, elegance, and comfort, turning humble roots into a velvety, subtly sweet accompaniment. In early 20th century kitchens, carrots and parsnips were reliable, affordable vegetables that could be stored through winter months, making them staples in family meals. When boiled or roasted and then pureed with a bit of butter or cream, these roots transformed into a smooth, flavorful side that could elevate even the simplest of dinners. The origin of this puree lies in practicality and creativity. Families sought ways to make ordinary vegetables appealing, especially when meat or luxurious ingredients were scarce. By combining parsnips and carrots, cooks balanced earthiness with natural sweetness, creating a dish that was both flavorful and nourishing. The preparation reflects the care and attention given to even the simplest ingredients. The vegetables are cooked until tender, then pureed to a creamy consistency with seasoning to enhance rather than mask their natural flavor. Ingredients are intentionally simple: parsnips, carrots, butter or cream, salt, pepper, and optional spices like nutmeg or a touch of fresh herbs. Preparation involves peeling and chopping the vegetables, boiling or roasting until soft, and blending them until smooth. A little butter or cream adds richness, while gentle seasoning highlights the natural flavors. The result is a puree that is silky, subtly sweet, and full of warmth. A side dish that feels both comforting and refined. Emotionally, parsnip and carrot puree evokes the quiet pride of home cooks turning modest ingredients into something special. Kitchens filled with the scent of simmering roots, and family tables gathered for simple, nourishing meals. It's a dish that celebrates patience, care, and the transformation of ordinary produce into something memorable. In modern kitchens, this puree remains relevant, offering a vegetable-forward, flavorful alternative to mashed potatoes or other starch-heavy sides. Parsnip and carrot puree is a reminder that simplicity, attention to natural flavors, and seasonal ingredients can create dishes that are timeless, comforting, and full of heart. Roasted mixed roots with herbs. Roasted mixed roots with herbs is a dish that celebrates the natural sweetness, earthy depth, and hearty texture of root vegetables, transforming humble ingredients into a vibrant, aromatic centerpiece. In early to mid-20th century kitchens, families relied on whatever roots were available: carrots, parsnips, turnips, rutabagas, and celeriac, to create meals that were both nourishing and economical. Roasting brought out their inherent sweetness, while the addition of herbs elevated the dish, demonstrating how simplicity and care could produce remarkable flavors. The origin of this dish lies in practicality and creativity. During times when fresh produce was scarce, root vegetables were a reliable staple, easy to store through winter months, and versatile enough to complement a variety of meals. By tossing them with a little fat, seasoning, and fresh or dried herbs, home cooks could create a dish that was visually appealing, aromatic, and satisfying. Roasting also allowed for caramelization, adding depth and complexity that made the humble roots feel indulgent without extravagant ingredients. Ingredients are straightforward: a mix of root vegetables such as carrots, parsnips, turnips, rutabagas, and celeriac, oil or butter, salt, pepper, and herbs like thyme, rosemary, or parsley. Preparation involves peeling and cutting the roots into uniform pieces, tossing them with fat and seasonings, and roasting until tender and golden brown. The slow cooking process allows the vegetables to develop rich flavor and a satisfying texture, while the herbs add fragrance and nuance. Emotionally, roasted mixed roots with herbs evokes kitchens, warmed by the aroma of roasting vegetables, family tables gathered in the colder months, and the quiet pride of turning simple, seasonal ingredients into a dish worthy of celebration. It reminds us of the resourcefulness of past generations and the comforting power of thoughtfully prepared food. In modern kitchens, this dish remains timeless. Its balance of flavors, textures, and aromas makes it a versatile side or centerpiece, connecting contemporary cooks to culinary traditions rooted in frugality, creativity, and care. Roasted mixed roots with herbs is proof that humble vegetables, treated with attention and love, can shine brilliantly on any table. Pickled salsify. Pickled salsify is a dish that takes a uniquely earthy, slightly sweet root and transforms it into a crisp, tangy, and flavorful preservation. Salsify, often called the oyster plant for its delicate, almost briny flavor when cooked, was once a common ingredient in European and early American kitchens, especially in winter months when fresh vegetables were scarce. Pickling allowed families to extend its shelf life, turning a modest root into a versatile accompaniment that could brighten stews, salads, or sandwiches with its lively acidity. The origin of pickled salsify lies in practicality and resourcefulness. Before refrigeration, pickling was essential for storing vegetables through the winter. Salsify, with its firm texture and subtle sweetness, lent itself beautifully to this method. By slicing it into uniform pieces and soaking it in a brine of vinegar, salt, sugar, and aromatics, such as mustard seeds, bay leaves, or dill, cooks created a product that could be enjoyed for weeks, adding flavor and nutrition when fresh ingredients were limited. Pickling also enhanced the root's natural taste, balancing its earthy notes with tangy brightness. Ingredients are simple yet purposeful: salsify, vinegar, water, salt, sugar, and optional seasonings like peppercorns, mustard seeds, or herbs. Preparation involves peeling and blanching the salsify to tenderize it, then submerging it in a heated brine before sealing in jars. Over time, the flavors meld, creating a crisp, aromatic, and slightly sweet pickle that adds complexity to any meal. Emotionally, pickled salsify evokes kitchens, where patience and foresight were essential, where families transformed humble roots into preserved treasures for the colder months. It recalls the care taken to plan for scarcity, turning simple ingredients into flavorful, lasting staples. In modern kitchens, pickled salsify may feel old-fashioned. Its crisp texture, nuanced flavor, and historical significance remind us that even the most overlooked roots can shine when given a little attention and imagination. Pickled salsify is a testament to preservation, creativity, and the enduring charm of humble ingredients. And there you have it, 30 forgotten root vegetable recipes that once warmed kitchens and brought families together. From sweet and creamy purees to tangy pickles and hearty stews, these humble roots remind us that flavor, creativity, and comfort don't have to be complicated. If any of these dishes sparked your curiosity or your appetite, give this video a like, share it with fellow food lovers, and don't forget to subscribe for more nostalgic cooking adventures. Rediscover the past, one root at a time.